All right, today we are diving into a philosophy that makes a pretty huge promise. How to transform from a human state to something, well, divine. And the way to do it? It involves a level of detachment so complete, so total, that it challenges everything we think we know about a meaningful life. This is a really radical path. So, let's get into what it actually means.
So this one line, which our source text pulls from the Diamond Sutra, is basically the key that unlocks this entire idea. A mind that abides nowhere. Think about that for a second. What would it even feel like to have a mind that doesn't stick to anything? That's the question we're going to explore.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what this unattached mind even is. Then, we'll see how this idea isn't new. It pops up in other ancient texts. After that, we'll look at the author's very specific method for getting there, face the, frankly staggering cost of this freedom, and finally, reveal the author's very surprising solution to living this way.
Right, so the core promise here is that if you can achieve this state of non-attachment, a mind that's truly free from hindrances, it can trigger a complete metamorphosis. The source actually uses this amazing analogy of a pupa turning into a butterfly. You're not just a better version of yourself, you emerge into a whole new dimension of being.
The central concept here is called Xing Wu So Zhu, which translates to an unattached mind. And look, this isn't just about meditating for 10 minutes to clear your head. No, this is a permanent state of being, where your consciousness just doesn't get snagged on anything. Not a person, not an idea, not a memory, not a possession. And according to the author, that is the only real gateway to ultimate freedom.
Now, what's really fascinating is that this idea of letting go, it's not some new, isolated concept. The author makes a point of showing that this is a theme that you can find woven through some of the world's biggest wisdom traditions.
Take Lao Tzu, for example. In the Tao Te Ching, he basically advises a complete reversal of our normal priorities. You know how most of us are busy trying to get more stuff, more status, more everything? Well, this path says you should be totally idle about all that. You have to actively choose not to play that game. And you see a similar kind of warning in another major tradition. The author brings up this famous quote from Jesus to make a really sharp point. It's not the money itself that's the problem, it's the attachment to it. It's the way our minds tend to dwell on our possessions that can totally block the path to a higher spiritual state.
So what this all boils down to is a fundamental conflict, a fork in the road. The normal human path is all about addition, gaining things, possessing things, accumulating more. But the spiritual path we're talking about here, it's all about subtraction. It's a journey of releasing, of letting go, of constantly trying to get back to zero. So, the big question is, how on earth do you actually do this? Well, the author doesn't just leave it as a nice idea. They actually lay out a very clear two-step method for cultivating this unattached mind.
Okay, so step one is all in your head. It's an intellectual shift. You have to truly get on a deep fundamental level that everything is empty. And that doesn't mean nothing exists. It means nothing has a fixed, solid, permanent self. Once you really see that your car, your job, even your anger isn't a solid thing, but just a temporary process, it gets a lot easier to loosen your grip. But that's not enough. Step two is action. You have to constantly, consciously, and physically practice letting go.
This is the author's core mantra. It's not a one-time thing. It's not like you decide to let go and you're done. No, it's a relentless, minute-by-minute process. Anything your mind grabs onto, anything that causes you stress or desire, the instruction is simple and it is absolute. Let it go.
Okay, but this is where things get really intense. This is the part of the philosophy that is deeply, deeply challenging. Because if you have to let go of everything your mind clings to, what does that actually mean in practice? Well, the author's list is, wow, it's comprehensive.
So it starts with the stuff you might expect, right? The tangible things that define our lives. Your money, your house, your career, your reputation. But then it gets personal, really personal. The author is crystal clear. You have to let go of your attachment to your most sacred relationships, your parents, your kids, your partner. Basically, anything that defines who you are in the world is seen as a potential cage for your mind.
And just when you think it can't get any more extreme, it goes deeper, into the very wiring of your consciousness. You have to let go of your ideals, your morals, your political beliefs, your religion, even your attachment to the ideas of good versus evil, or right versus wrong. And then, the final boss. You have to let go of your own achievements, your sense of greatness, and the very idea of yourself.
So this creates a massive, almost terrifying paradox, doesn't it? I mean, if you let go of your job, your home, your family, your identity, how do you possibly function? How do you even survive? The author knows this is the big question and provides a very specific and, honestly, pretty unexpected solution.
This is the question just hanging there, isn't it? The author points out that for countless spiritual seekers throughout history, this is the tragic dead end. They renounce everything, they let it all go, and then they're just left with nothing, unable to function. So, what's the workaround? What's the answer?
The solution proposed in the source isn't a theory. It's a place, a community called the Second Home of Life, Chonyarn. This is presented as a practical, physical structure designed specifically to solve this paradox of radical detachment.
So the whole point of this community is to create an environment where attachment literally becomes unnecessary for your survival. Think about it. It provides for all your worldly needs: food, shelter, healthcare. It takes away all those basic anxieties that force us to cling to jobs and money and possessions. It's basically a system designed to free your mind from all the practical burdens of the world so you can actually do the hard work of letting go. You own nothing, but you have access to everything you need.
Now, this is so important. The author includes a really stark warning. They say this path requires a very rare kind of person, a specific disposition. And for those who don't have it, they say don't even try. It's much better to just be a good, kind person in the normal sense. Trying to do this and failing, they warn, could actually lead to way more suffering.
And that brings us to our final thought, where we turn this whole thing back to you. After hearing this incredibly radical call to let everything go, it really forces you to ask a personal question. Whether you think this path is brilliant or crazy, just thinking about it can reveal a lot. So what is it for you? What's the one thing, a person, a possession, an idea, an identity that would be the absolute hardest for you to let go of?